You know, one of the most common questions asked of any magician is always the same. No, what do you really do for a living? After that, though, people always seem to be fascinated with how I got interested in magic. Well, in order to answer that question, I would like to tell you folks a true story. I'd like to, but I am a pathological liar. But I'm not really. But then if you believe that, you're my kind of people. You've all heard of the Three Card Monte, the sidewalk shuffle. It's a street hustle they used to play up in the avenues. I'm sure you know the one. It's the one where you have to find a red queen while a fella mixes her among two black cards. Now keep your eye on the queen, you'll win plenty. 5 will get you 10, and 10 will get you 20. Of course, black you lose. Red you win. Other black, you lose again. Now, I'm sure you've seen this game played in some form or another, maybe television, perhaps at a carnival. Maybe some of you have had the misfortune of playing it yourself. And for those of you have discovered it is a tough hustle to beat because you're never really competing with the card, no, but rather the man who deals the game. Reminds me of a fellow I knew one time. He used to pitch mining near 5th and Central, right outside the Woolworths in my hometown of Connersville, Indiana. It was a long time ago, and I only saw him twice. But I've always remembered him as the fellow who played the 3 card Monte with 4 cards. Well, the extra card was his hook. You see, the 4 cards set him apart. Not only that, but trying to find the queen among 3 black cards is a tougher odd, therefore the payoff is bigger. Now, he was calling it a little game, a hanky-poo, 3 for me and 1 for you. Well, he sure caught my attention, and the attention of a lot of other folks on that street corner. But no sooner did he start when some rube from the crowd said, "Hey, buddy, ain't that game here supposed to be played with 3 cards instead of 4? You heard me say Connersville, right? Well, the dealer didn't miss a beat. He said, "Sure, we can play it with 4, but we can play it with 3. You just keep your eye on that scarlet lady. Hey, diddle diddle. She's the one in the middle. Now you tell me where that lady is now." Well, the rube went ahead and bet that the queen was still in the middle, but of course, he walked away a loser. And I stunk around and watched some other people play, and it seemed no matter which card they picked, no one could find the queen. No one seemed to have the luck to beat this dealer because he was good. He was real good. He was too good. He was cheating. Well, I couldn't figure out how he did it. I went home and I asked my Uncle Joe, who I thought knew everything. And my Uncle Joe, whose nickname for me was always Harry. Nobody remembers why. Said, "What did he do?" I said, "Well, he showed us his queen and his 3 black cards. Then someone said, 'Isn't that game supposed to be played with 3 cards instead of 4?' And he obliged the fella. Then came this, 'Hey, diddle diddle, she's the one in the middle,' followed by a fancy little shuffle that looked a little something like this. Right chair. Then I could have swore I saw the fella make a move like this. Did you see that move the first time? That's the switch. There it is again. It's a little easier to see after I point it out to you. But that's why no one is able to find the queen in his hand, because at that point, the queen was not in his hand. The queen was on the table. Well, I saw something amazing that afternoon. I saw something that changed the course of my very life. I saw person after person throw down dollar after dollar after dollar. Not one of them walked away upset. There's this one fellow that I know over a period of 45 minutes had to lose not less than $75. Big money in 1977. Did he rant? Did he rave? Did he demand his money back? No, no, and no. Rather, what he did, was take his paw out of his now empty pocket. He shook that man's hand and thanked him for a good time. And for me, that was a religious experience. Hallelujah. Well, Uncle Joe said if we knew how the game was played, we could bust it out. So I broke up on my piggy bank. I put all the change in my pocket. I went jing, jing, jingling down the street. Sure enough, there he was, 2 cardboard boxes. Looky, 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 step right up. And I snuck my way into the crowd. And no sooner did he start when I stepped forward and said, "Golly, mister, I always thought this game was played with 3 cards, not 4. Well, he smiled at me. He said, sure, son, we can play it with 4, but we can play it with 3. You just keep your eye on that scarlet lady. Hey, diddle diddle. She's the one in the middle. Now you tell me where that lady is now. Well, the dealer made his move, so I made mine. And I walked to the table boldly with the sanguine of a child. I threw my money down. I said, you ain't fooling me, mister. The queen is on the table. Well, they looked at me. And he smiled. And I learned something that day. I learned something I'd like to pass along to you, if I might. I learned that you never take advice from a guy named Joe. You never eat at a place called Mom's, and you never play cards with a guy named Pops. But the most important thing I learned that fateful day is that a fool and his money were lucky to get together in the first place.